Front line.
Enemy in sight.
We've taken the lead.
Enemy down.
Reloading! Cover me!
Enemy contact. Down.
Target down! Tango down.
UAV online.
Reloading.
We've taken the lead.
Grenade.
I'm hurt!
Contact with enemy.
I got shot!
We've taken the lead.
Target down. Grenade!
You're hurting. Keep fighting.
Headshot.
In the midst of a vast, untamed wilderness, where the ground quaked with the pulse of ancient magic, Dylan E.T. stood as a lone sentinel against an encroaching horde of elemental golems. The earth trembled beneath the heavy footsteps of these formidable creatures, their bodies composed of raw elemental forces: fire, water, earth, and air, each one a towering giant embodying the primal fury of nature. The terrain around Dylan shifted chaotically, with cracks forming in the ground and geysers of steam erupting, creating a volatile battlefield that demanded both agility and foresight. As the elemental golems converged, Dylan's scathe moved with a fluid grace, binding the chaotic energies of the battlefield into a coherent strategy. The pommel of scathe, glimmering with the 3D golden rhombus 3DGR, bound Dylan's will with the essence of the A3DGR. At this moment, the pommel flashed a vivid green 9 coupe, signifying a unison with an elemental essence. Dylan's presence became a conduit, harmonizing the wild energy of the golems with his own focused intent, as if a mighty gorilla pounding its chest to assert dominance. With the 3DGR pommel set to green 9 coupe, Dylan initiated a sweeping offensive. Scathe's grip shifted, aligning the blade toward the nearest water golem. The grip's rotation channeled Dylan's energy into a precise and decisive thrust, slicing through the liquid form of the golem with a motion that mimicked the cleaving power of water itself. As the blade connected, a surge of emerald light rippled outwards, resonating with the golem's elemental core. The water golem shuddered, its liquid form destabilizing under the influence of Dylan's controlled energy. Retreating to a defensive stance, Dylan's grip on Skate adjusted once more, the pommel now reflecting a serene blue 3S stock. With a swift motion, Dylan pulled back, Skave's blade aligning towards self, and the pommel emerging from the palm base, signaling a retraction and regrouping. The movement was seamless, an orchestrated dance of precision, withdrawing from the offensive to reassess and reposition, ready to counter the next onslaught. This strategic withdrawal not only created distance but also drew the attention of the Earth Golem, its massive, rocky form rumbling as it moved to engage. The effect of Dylan's maneuvers was palpable. The destabilized water golem began to lose its form, collapsing into a pool of shimmering liquid. The ground beneath it, saturated with elemental energy, steamed and hissed, transforming into a quagmire that slowed the advance of the other golems. The Earth Golem, sensing its ally's defeat, roared in frustration, its footsteps sending tremors through the terrain, causing loose rocks and debris to cascade down the surrounding hillsides. The battlefield became a dynamic mosaic of elemental chaos, with Dylan ET at the center, a master of scathe, channeling and controlling the flow of the combat. As the battle raged on, Dylan continued to weave through the elemental energies, each clash and retreat a testament to his skill and the power of the 3DGR. The air crackled with potential, and the ground trembled with each move, a living testament to the epic clash unfolding, a symphony of chaos and control, with Dylan ET conducting the elements through the medium of scathe, a beacon of mastery in the heart of the storm. As the battle reached a fevered pitch, Dylan ET faced the Earth Golem's relentless approach. The terrain was a living, breathing entity, reacting to the elemental forces at play. Rocky outcrops jutted from the ground, steam vents hissed ominously, and the air crackled with an electric charge. The Earth Golem, towering and implacable, bore down on Dylan with the force of an avalanche. Its massive stone fists, covered in jagged crystals, threatened to crush anything in their path. The ground shook with each of its thunderous steps, creating fissures and causing the battlefield to shift and sway. With a swift flourish, Dylan set Skave's pommel to orange 8 counter, the vibrant hue reflecting off the crystalline eyes of the golem. This configuration signified a defensive strategy, with the grip aligning Skave's edged blade toward himself, the 3DGR pommel emerging from his thumbs. Dylan's stance became a study in resilience, his posture firm yet flexible, ready to absorb and redirect the force of the incoming attack. As the golem's mighty fist descended, Dylan moved with the precision of a seasoned warrior, bringing Skate up in a circular parry that deflected the blow, guiding the massive arm off course and embedding it into the ground with a resounding crash. In the aftermath of the deflection, Dylan harnessed the momentum to pivot seamlessly into the next phase of combat. The pommel's color shifted to red to draw, signaling a transition to an aggressive, precision-focused stance. Skave's wooden grip rotated with a fluid motion, realigning the blade towards self, as the pommel emerged from the palm base. Dylan lunged forward, utilizing the natural opening created by the golem's overextended strike. The blade cut through the air with a resonant hum, striking with pinpoint accuracy at the junctions where the elemental energy bound the golem's form. With each calculated slash, Dylan disrupted the magical nexus within the golem, causing its rocky exterior to crack and fissure, releasing pent-up energy in bursts of red light. With the Earth Golem staggered, Dylan retracted Scathe, the pommel now glowing with a soothing blue 3S stock. This indicated a calculated withdrawal, blending offense and defense. Dylan smoothly stepped back, the blade tracing a protective arc as the pommel aligned towards himself, emerging from the palm base. The movement was not merely a retreat but a strategic repositioning, allowing Dylan to maintain control over the battlefield's dynamic flow. The ground beneath the golem's faltering form began to buckle and shift, unable to support its collapsing structure. The combined effects of Dylan's deft maneuvers were immediate and devastating. The Earth Golem, once a formidable juggernaut, crumbled into a pile of inert stone and dust, its core energy dissipated. The fissures in the ground, initially wrought by the golem's heavy steps, widened into chasms that swallowed the debris, creating a landscape of treacherous pitfalls. The other elemental golems hesitated, their advance stalled by the sudden shift in terrain and the loss of their comrade. The battlefield, once a chaotic maelstrom of elemental forces, began to stabilize under Dylan's expert control, each movement of Scathe bringing order to the chaos. But the respite was brief. The air around Dylan grew cold and still, an ominous calm that presaged the next wave of attacks. The fire golem, its form a seething mass of molten lava and flame, loomed on the horizon, ready to unleash its wrath. Dylan's eyes narrowed, the pommel of Scathe flickering with a spectrum of colors as he prepared for the next phase of the battle. The air crackled with anticipation, the scent of ozone thickening as Dylan channeled the energy of the battlefield into his next move. The elemental golems, once confident in their dominance, now faced a master swordsman whose mastery of Scathe and the 3DGR brought even the most primal forces to heel. With the stage set for a climactic clash, Dylan ET readied himself, Scathe poised like an extension of his own will. The elemental golems circled warily, their fiery, liquid, and gaseous forms shifting and undulating as they sought an opening. The ground beneath them trembled with the pent-up energy of the impending confrontation, a silent witness to the epic struggle between elemental might and human mastery. Dylan's resolve was unshakable, his every movement a testament to the ancient art of swordplay, honed and perfected. As the fire golem surged forward, a roaring inferno of rage and power, Dylan's Scathe glinted in the twilight, ready to carve a path through the chaos and emerge victorious. The battlefield, now a chaotic tapestry of elemental energies and fractured terrain, seemed to hold its breath as the fire golem, a towering inferno of molten rock and flame, advanced. The ground beneath Dylan ET radiated intense heat, causing the air to shimmer and distort. The scorching temperature dried the soil, creating a brittle crust that cracked underfoot. In this arid and volatile environment, Dylan stood resolute, his gaze fixed on the blazing behemoth. As the fire golem closed in, Dylan's Scathe resonated with the 3DGR, its pommel illuminating with a vibrant red tube draw. This signified a state of readiness to engage the fiery adversary with precision and intent. The additional 3DGR resonated with this fiery energy, augmenting Dylan's control over the chaotic forces at play. The red hue of the pommel echoed the blazing core of the golem, establishing a binding between Dylan's will and the elemental fury before him. With a sudden, fluid motion, Dylan advanced, Scathe's grip rotating to align the blade toward the fire golem, the pommel emerging from the palm base. The blade's edge seemed to shimmer with an inner heat, reflecting the elemental energy it was designed to counter. Dylan struck with a series of rapid, controlled slashes, each one aimed at the fissures and molten veins that coursed through the golem's form. The blade cut through the superheated air, creating a series of sparks as it clashed with the molten stone, each impact a deliberate effort to destabilize the golem's core. After executing the precise series of strikes, Dylan quickly transitioned into a defensive stance. The pommel of Scathe shifted to orange 8 counter, indicating a tactical withdrawal and preparation for defense. Scathe's blade rotated back towards Dylan, the pommel emerging from his thumbs. This positioning allowed Dylan to absorb and deflect any retaliatory strikes from the golem, ensuring his safety amidst the fiery chaos. The flames around him danced wildly, reflecting the intense struggle between control and destruction. The fire golem, destabilized by the targeted attacks, erupted in a violent burst of energy. Flames leapt into the sky, and molten rock splattered across the battlefield. The intense heat caused the air to shimmer, and the dry ground beneath the golem cracked further, revealing molten lava veins. Dylan, ever vigilant, moved with practiced ease, avoiding the spewing lava and navigating the unstable terrain. The fire golem's form wavered, its once intimidating presence now reduced to a sputtering, unstable mass of flames and rock. The battlefield, previously dominated by the golem's fiery aura, began to cool, the oppressive heat giving way to a more temperate, albeit still dangerous, environment.
Front line.
As Dylan regrouped, the ground beneath him shifted yet again, heralding the approach of a new threat. The air became heavy with moisture, and a thick fog began to roll in, obscuring vision and creating an eerie, muted landscape. The water golem, reforming from the previously dispersed liquid form, advanced with a relentless flow. Its body, a swirling vortex of water and mist, threatened to engulf Dylan in its chilling embrace. In response, Dylan's scathe shifted once more, the pommel glowing with a cool blue 3S stock. This marked a strategic positioning, aligning the blade towards the elemental waters of the golem, the pommel emerging from the palm base. Dylan's movements became more fluid, mirroring the golem's own aqueous nature. With a series of precise, flowing movements, Dylan danced around the water golem, scathe tracing arcs in the air that disrupted the cohesion of the watery form. Each stroke was a masterful blend of offense and defense, as Dylan sought to unravel the elemental forces binding the golem together. Upon completion of his offensive maneuvers, Dylan smoothly retracted, scathes. Pommel shifting to green 9 coupe. The blade's grip aligned towards the target, the pommel emerging from the thumbs, signifying a readiness to transition into the next phase of combat. Dylan maintained a balanced stance, poised to exploit any weakness exposed by his previous actions. The water golem, its form increasingly destabilized, began to lose its definition. The surrounding fog thinned, revealing the golem's struggles to maintain its integrity. The effects of Dylan's mastery were profound. The water golem's once cohesive form became a chaotic whirlpool, unable to maintain its shape. The fog lifted, and the battlefield's visibility improved, revealing the ravages of the elemental conflict. The ground, previously scorched and cracked, now bore the marks of erosion and water damage. Puddles formed in the depressions, reflecting the dimming light of the elemental struggle. Dylan E.T., with scathe as an extension of his indomitable will, had once again brought order to the elemental chaos, his actions a testament to the delicate balance between destruction and control. As the battlefield settled into a brief lull, the final elemental golem, a creature of air, ethereal and swift, emerged from the dissipating fog. Its form was a swirling vortex of wind and lightning, flickering with energy and ready to unleash its fury. The terrain responded, with dust devils spiraling up from the ground, creating a chaotic dance of debris. Dylan E.T., undeterred and ever watchful, prepared for the next onslaught, his resolve unbroken, and his mastery of scathe and the 3DGR ready to face the final elemental challenge. The air grew tense as the Colossus, a massive amalgamation of raw elemental power, emerged from the swirling mists left by the dissipating water golem. This towering entity stood far above the other golems, a fusion of stone, fire, water, and wind, embodying the primal chaos of the elements. Its presence was overwhelming, each step causing the earth to tremble and the air to crackle with latent energy. The battlefield, already scarred by previous combat, now seemed to buckle under the immense weight and power of this ultimate adversary. Dylan E.T. faced the Colossus, the air around him charged with anticipation. The ground beneath his feet remained stable, yet the proximity of such a powerful being altered the atmosphere itself, causing a low, resonant hum to vibrate through the air. Dylan's gaze remained steady, his grip on scathe firm. The pommel of his blade began to glow with a pulsating light, a shifting spectrum of colors reflecting the boundless energies of the Colossus. Scathe and the 3DGR resonated in harmony, preparing for the ultimate test of Dylan's mastery. The Colossus moved with a deliberate, ponderous grace, each step a calculated assertion of its dominance. The ground shook, and the air grew heavy with the charge of impending conflict. Dylan set Scave's pommel to green 9 coupe, the vibrant color reflecting the elemental fury he faced. The grip adjusted, aligning the blade towards the massive foe, the pommel emerging from Dylan's thumbs. In this configuration, Dylan channeled the energy of the battlefield, his connection with the A3DGR akin to a gorilla's mighty chest beating, a declaration of power and intent. Dylan's first move was a sweeping advance, the blade of scathe cutting through the air with a whistling precision. He aimed for the legs of the Colossus, seeking to destabilize the massive structure. The blade struck true, releasing a burst of green energy that resonated with the elemental core of the Colossus. The impact caused a tremor, but the Colossus merely staggered, its immense form absorbing the attack with minimal disruption. The elemental titan retaliated, swinging a massive arm infused with fiery and rocky elements, aiming to crush Dylan beneath its weight. With a swift pivot, Dylan transitioned Scave's pommel to Orange 8 counter. The blade rotated towards Dylan, the pommel emerging from his thumbs as he adopted a defensive stance. The enormous fist of the Colossus descended, but Dylan met it with a perfectly timed deflection. Scave's edge collided with the elemental mass, redirecting the force of the blow into the ground beside him. The earth split open, sending up a shower of rocks and dust, but Dylan remained unscathed, his defense flawless. Seizing the opportunity, Dylan switched to an offensive posture, the pommel shifting to blue 3 stock. Scave's blade realigned towards the Colossus, the pommel emerging from the palm base. Dylan lunged forward with a series of precise, targeted strikes, aiming for the joints and fissures in the Colossus's body. Each strike was calculated, aimed at the nexus points where the elemental energies converged. Sparks flew as Scave's edge bit into the Colossus's form, each impact weakening the integrity of the giant. The Colossus, now visibly strained, unleashed a counterattack, summoning a whirlwind of elemental forces. Wind and lightning surged around it, creating a vortex of destructive energy. Dylan responded by setting Scave's pommel to red 2 draw. The blade rotated towards himself, the pommel emerging from the palm base. In this defensive posture, Dylan withdrew slightly, maintaining a safe distance as he assessed the Colossus's next move. The ground beneath the Colossus began to fracture, unable to contain the immense pressure of its concentrated power. The final exchange was imminent. The Colossus, destabilized by Dylan's relentless assault, roared with a primal fury, its form flickering with the chaotic energies of all 4 elements. Dylan, undeterred, felt Scathe resonate with a final surge of power, the pommel flickering through all colors in a dazzling display of mastery and control. With a deep breath, he focused, preparing for the decisive blow. The pommel stabilized on green 9 coupe, signaling the culmination of his strategy. With a powerful leap, Dylan launched himself towards the heart of the Colossus. Scathe gleamed with a brilliant light, its blade cutting through the air with unparalleled precision. Dylan aimed directly for the core of the Colossus, where the elemental energies were most concentrated. The blade pierced the giant's chest, driving deep into the nexus of its power. The Colossus shuddered, a resonant shockwave emanating from the point of impact. Dylan twisted the blade, channeling the energy of the 3DGR into the Colossus, destabilizing its very essence. As Dylan withdrew Scathe, the Colossus let out a final, deafening roar. Its form began to disintegrate, the elements that composed it unraveling into their base states. Fire, water, earth, and air swirled chaotically before dissipating into the ether. The ground quaked one last time, then fell silent. The battlefield, once a tumultuous arena of elemental combat, was now eerily calm. The air was clear, the ground settled, and the colossal adversary was no more. Dylan E.T. stood alone amidst the aftermath, Scathe resting by his side. The pommel's glow faded, returning to a neutral state. The battle was won, the elemental chaos subdued. Dylan's mastery of Scathe and the 3DGR had triumphed over the primal forces of nature, his actions a testament to the power of human will and skill. As the dust settled, Dylan gazed out over the scarred landscape, a silent guardian amidst the echoes of an epic conflict, his resolve unbroken, and his mastery unparalleled.
Target down.
Contact with enemy. Enemy contact.